So let's talk for a minute about border cells. So border cells are basically the guards, right, that prevent the plant from either anaerobic conditions, they release themselves and the root pulls back. But are they also the ones that are opening the doors to these pathways that are letting cells in and out of the root tips?
So when you say border cells, you're talking about root cap, the root cap cells that are sloughed off, right? Yeah, those are the cells that are sloughed off. You know, there's the classic theory of guard cells is that they are a protective layer, kind of a kamikaze layer on roots, so that if the root hits a rock or something, that it won't hurt the meristem, right? Underneath these meristem is growing, and that's more important. So these are kind of these root cap cells are protective. That's the theory, the classic idea about these root cap cells. But what we're seeing with these root cap cells is that they are sloughed off and they're full of microbes, and they go along the root column as the root's growing, and they're depositing them right along the column. So they're essentially, we've heard it may be another way that the plant is putting these good microbes right outside the root, in that root column. Besides shooting them out through the tips of the root hairs, as those root hairs grow, depositing those microbes. The other thing is we can see actually nitrogen being fixed in some of those root cap cells. So it may be another way to put nitrogen right around that root.
Well, it kind of makes sense that they're using them both as a protective coating as well as an aftermarket defense.
It does. And people, that's why I never deny some of the old ideas, because they were logical.
Another good reason to not necessarily remove your root balls if you're using a living soil bed system, and as long as they're disease free, kind of makes a lot of sense to leave all that there.
Yeah. Something about these nitrogen fixing plants, at least this corn, that compared to commercial cultivars, is they're really hardy. They tend to have thicker leaves. They stay green. I have dug up this nitrogen fixing corn and dug up commercial controls several times, replanted, and every time the commercial cultivar dies and the nitrogen fixing line continues to live, I plant it right back. I put it right back, pull it out with the root ball, pull it out with the root and soil there, and then have it out for a day while I'm working on it in the lab. Then I take it back, plant it in the same spot, and the next day it's perfectly good. It's still growing. Those plants are really stress hardy. So one of the factors with having endophytes is what we've seen in a lot of other systems is this stress hardiness. The plants are just tougher. So you think about climate change and what's going to happen to many of our modern cultivars, when things get hot and we don't have enough water to put on them. Well, a lot of our crops are just going to fail. We're going to have some of these endophyte enhanced, some of these crops that are full of microbes, just because they're going to be much hardier, and that may be the only crops we're going to be able to grow in the future when things get really bad.
So not to bounce back